and say, I put it right here.
Okay.
So when I go looking for it in 45 minutes,
Yes. Yes. I'm pretty sure I'll try to remember.
some people are going, 45 minutes?
Long time.
Well, it's a 3-part sermon. We are in the season of Lent, and we have spent part of this Lent looking at some of the stories in Matthew following the time we had together with the Beatitudes earlier this year. And Lent is a time, in one sense, to get ready for Easter, and yet it's another time to reflect in some ways, and I've invited you to do what? Those of you who remember.
Smile.
Smile, yes. What's that, wink? Yes, wink.
Have hope.
Have hope. And to let your...
Light shine.
Oh, yeah, that one. Let your light shine. Yes. Because we started with Ash Wednesday and the story of the woman who anoints Jesus, and all the religious people get a little uppity about that, and they're criticizing, and Jesus says, leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing. And immediately in front and behind that particular text, there are people plotting to kill Jesus. And he points out, in the midst of all that, there is great beauty. And so I've invited this Lent for us to take time to let our light shine and to do those things that bring beauty into the world and to recognize those things that bring beauty into the world. And today we're going to start the journey, we're going to join Jesus on the journey. And this is his third time that he's going to say words to this effect. As Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he's on a journey, he took the 12 aside by themselves on the road, and he said to them, look, we are going to Jerusalem. And the human one, and sometimes you would recognize it as the Son of Man, but the human one will be handed over to the chief priest and the legal experts, and they will condemn him to death. And they will hand him over to the Gentiles to be ridiculed, tortured, and crucified. But he will be raised on the third day. That is, in short, the earliest Christian affirmation. Jesus Christ crucified and risen. And who we are together in the church. It is a time of great poignancy, and the first 2 times he shares it, it kind of passes by, or it's argued with in the Gospel of Matthew, and nobody really wants to hear it. We really don't want to hear it. And as we journey through Lent, I will share some of the stories with ways we resist, or cultures that resist, but I'm going to Jerusalem. And they will condemn him to death, and they will hand him over to the Romans to be ridiculed, tortured, and crucified. But he will be raised on the third day. Have you ever had a sense of bad timing? Have you ever said exactly the wrong thing at the wrong time? Have you ever chewed shoe leather? Some of us make regular banquets of it. And I'm not looking at you. More than once, we have that sense of bad timing. And sometimes we change the subject. I'm going to Jerusalem, and there they're going to kill me. And On the third day I'll be raised. And in the Gospel of Matthew, then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons. Bowing before him, she asked a favor of him. Now, in another gospel, this story is told without the mother. There's some suggestion that Matthew has a high opinion of the disciples, and therefore he's going to give the question to Mama. Gospel of Mark does not have a high opinion of disciples. It was their question without anybody involved. Jesus said, "What do you want?" And she responded, "Say that these two sons of mine will sit, one on your right hand and one on your left in your kingdom." One on the right and one on the left. At banquets back then, and I'm not a master of etiquette even in modern terms, much less 2,000 years ago, but my understanding is that if you had a banquet, the guest of honor would be on your right, and guest of honor number 2 would be on your left. I don't know where guest number 3 goes. That's the limit of my knowledge. And so, Mama Zebedee is saying, for my sons, I want first place in your kingdom. What did Jesus just get through telling? I'm on my way to die. Hey, while you're doing that, can we make a request? First and second place? We like our ribbons now. Did you hear what I just said? Did you really hear what I... No, they didn't. And Jesus replied, you don't know what you're asking. And by the way, he's addressing the boys at this point. You don't know what you're asking. Can you drink from the cup that I'm about to drink from? And they said to him, we can. I think they're expecting margaritas. Nice beach time. Can you drink the cup that I'm about to drink? We can. And he said to them, you will drink from my cup. But to sit at my right and left hand isn't mine to give. That belongs to those for whom my Father prepared it. Now, in the best of circumstances, everybody says, oh, let us ponder what that means and work on it. But instead, masters of bad timing and misdirection. Now the other 10 disciples heard about this. No! They became angry with the two brothers. We wanted to be number 1 and number 2. Or at least have some kind of vote. Now when the other 10 disciples heard about this, they became angry with the two brothers. But Jesus called them over. They're mad at the two brothers, and Jesus has just said, I'm going to drink a cup of suffering. I'm on my way to Jerusalem to die. And they're mad because they weren't paying attention. You know that those who rule over the Gentiles show off their authority over them, and their high-ranking officials order them around. But that's not the way it is with you. Whoever wants to be great among you will be servant. Whoever wants to be great among you will be servant, and whoever wants to be first among you will be slave. Just as the human one didn't come to be served, but rather to serve and give his life to liberate many people. I came to be servant. You all, Jesus addressing the 12, you all are raising your hands because you want the power. You want first place. You want second place. You want to exclude the others over here. or over here. And you haven't heard a word I've said. I'm on my way to Jerusalem, and my heart is breaking, and you guys don't get it. It makes the story of the woman who anoints him all the more remarkable, doesn't it? And when they criticize her because she's interrupting their uppityness, that's a hard word for me to say, uppityness.
She's the only one that got it.
She's the only one that got it. She's the only one that got it. It's 45 minutes past?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure yet? Okay. I may be ahead of schedule. I want to read, one of my great joys in life was getting to spend a couple of days with Tom Long, who is the author of a book called Matthew, and Thomas C. Long, and Presbyterian, great preacher. And his commentary on this, and I don't normally read from a commentary, but I'm going to because he wrote this 25 years ago. When the other disciples discovered the ambitious maneuver of James and John, the two brothers, they howled in protest. Probably not because they were morally offended, but because they feared the Zebedee brothers were jockeying ahead. Jesus used this occasion to teach them once again the lesson of humble leadership. What is the model of leadership in the secular culture, that is, among the rulers of the Gentiles? The world is full of spiteful tyrants, power-hungry CEOs, and top-down managers who lord it over the people. But those are not the models to be emulated in the Christian community. The church should not have organizational charts with the influential at the top exerting their influence over the peons below. That's a pretty remarkable statement, isn't it? Indeed, the Christian community, in the Christian community, the great ones are the little ones, the servants, the deacons, those who wait on tables, and the slaves. It is, of course, very strenuous for the church to maintain the role of servant leadership. Instead of waiting on tables, the church often wants reserved parking places. Ouch! Ouch, ouch, ouch. I'm on my way to Jerusalem, and you all are worried about your parking place in the kingdom. And then, what seems a total disconnect, but watch the beauty of how it's done. As Jesus and his disciples were going out of Jericho, a large crowd followed them, and when two blind men sitting along the road heard that Jesus was passing by, they shouted, "Show us mercy, Lord, Son of David. Show us mercy. Blessed are the merciful." Beatitudes that we've looked at recently. For they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Lord, Son of David, show us mercy. And Jesus stopped in his tracks. Where is he going? He's going to Jerusalem. And he's going to do what? To die. And he stopped in his tracks and he called to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" Now I want you to see how beautifully this is being done. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and we know why he's going. And there are two, what kind of men? Blind people can't see. Aha. They can't see. What do you want me to do for you? Lord, we want to see. Now, how many blind people are there? How many brothers were there earlier? Ooh. Did the brothers get it? What do the two blind men ask for? Mercy and to see. And Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately they were able to see, and they followed him. Jesus becomes what he just asked his disciples to be. He has just become the servant
On his way to die.
on his way to die. He doesn't claim titles, fancy stoles, reserved parking places, first place at the potluck dinner. And he sees someone in trouble and he stops and he heals. And all the people that thought this journey was so important for whatever reasons, two people of no worth and no value, in that time and place, Jesus stops and says, "What do you need?" Our journey in Lent is a simple question sometimes. What do we need, and where should we stop? And I would say, and who needs to see us smile and know that they belong and have place? Amen and amen.